Hi, everyone. This is Texas Tammy, a realtor with Century 21 Judge Fight. With us today, we have a special guest, Robert McDade with McDade Plumbing. Robert, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Trying to stay warm. I bet you
Oh,
are too, huh?
yes, it's so crazy this weather. But this is Texas, so what can we expect? um,
Right. Yeah.
hey, Robert, so tell us, how long have you been in the plumbing industry?
24 years. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's a lot.
24, 24 years. Yeah.
And what areas do you serve?
So I work primarily around Burleson, Cleburne, Granbury, Fort Worth, around in those areas there
Gotcha.
primarily.
Gotcha. Well, that's pretty. So if you have anyone down there and they're interested in your services, McDade McPlumbing, Robert McDade is definitely the guy you need to give a holler to. Now, Robert, I appreciate you doing this video with me. Just so you guys know, I wanted to ask Master Plumber, what are some tips, some questions on winterizing your home with the little weather flurries we have going around here? It kind of inspired us to do this video. So Robert, what does it mean when someone says, let's winterize the plumbing in our home?
Well, basically, I think, people are referring to making sure that their piping is insulated. Um, And most of the time it is. I mean, it all really depends on what kind of house you live in too. I mean, are you a slab on grade home, which is relatively newer, or are you in an older pier and beam home? And then there are some homes that are, up on like what we refer to as bodark stumps, which is basically like tree stumps, you know what I mean? And then they just stood them up and they built the house on top of that. And those are open on the bottom, you know what I mean? All the way around, and they put some, sometimes it's like lattice work or um, you know skirting like you'd find on a mobile home or tin or something like that. But sometimes you will find that those homes freeze up a lot faster because the wind can travel underneath that house, you know what I mean? And so nothing will freeze it quicker than the cold air blowing
Yeah.
across it. So definitely in those situations, I mean, you'd want to make sure that you have insulation on your piping. But as we have found here recently, I think it was last February, we had that huge ice storm and all that, and everybody froze up. And
Yeah.
I mean, we really found out that even the newest of homes, they can freeze up. If we stay in these temperatures for a number of days, you might want to wind up, trickling your faucets and whatnot. So it's immune
Gotcha.
to it whenever you're in weather for many, many days.
Yeah,
So
yeah. The snowvid of 2021 is what people are calling it. It's definitely triggered some
yeah.
homeowners when it comes to winterizing. So when should a homeowner start to winterizing their home, their plumbing?
Well, I mean, I would really consider it as soon as summer is over, man. As soon as we're going into fall, towards the end of fall, whenever it starts getting cooler. What do you think? Like October, November,
Oh,
usually,
wow.
you really want to start considering getting ready. Cover your hose bibs. Make sure that you disconnect your water hose from your hose bib and cover the hose bib.
Okay,
You
so
know, I see
disconnecting.
a lot of, yeah, I see a lot of freeze breaks where people forget to disconnect their water hoses, and those are the things that we freeze first. Yeah, so definitely want to disconnect those and cover them.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
And you're saying towards October, November is when we need to start doing that. All right.
yeah, you don't want to find yourself in the freezing cold doing it. I think whenever it gets to a point in the year where you're not going to water your yard anymore, I just want to make a point of it one weekend to just go ahead and get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I know you kind of talked about taking off like the fire, not the fire hose, but the hose from the house. But
Huh?
like how else would you winterize the plumbing in your home?
Well, I mean, really, the only other way is to insulate the piping. You just really want to make sure that you're insulated. I have been in some homes where there are, you know, gaps in the walls and stuff like that where cold air can get in. So you might want to consider filling those somehow. Just everybody knows their home better than other people, so they
Yeah.
may want to take that into consideration and figure out what they need to do.
Yeah.
You definitely don't want cold air getting into places where you have plumbing on exterior walls. You know what I mean? For
Okay.
instance, at my house, my sink is on the exterior wall. During the storm in 2021, it did try to freeze up on me. I caught it and was able to get the faucet trickling and, you know, open the cabinet doors, those kind of things. You find yourself in extreme cold weather, you definitely want to open the cabinet doors to let some heat in from the house. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So,
Okay. And I
mhm.
know Eric, for those of you who don't know, Eric is my husband. He was telling me sometimes we need to shut off the water valve if it gets to that point, or if it's starting to busted pipes and you want to shut the water off. Where can homeowners find like where that valve is? Is there a certain location that they need to be at?
Yeah, typically, um, you know, you want to have a shut-off valve up at your house before the water line goes into the house that you can get to and you can access it and shut off the water with ease. Because, other than that, you really need to know where your water meter is. You need to have a meter key to be able to shut the water off to your house at the meter. And if the meter can has a lid that locks, you need to have the key to unlock that lid so you can get in there in a hurry. And you want to make sure that that's dug out so you're not digging for it when it really counts. You know what I mean? You
Mm,
want to be able to get in there and get the water shut off in a hurry. Other than that, folks may want to consider having a valve installed on their water line before it goes into the house. Newer homes will have those valves. Um, and if you don't know where it is, you should go and find it. Typically, it's underneath the front hose bib, and it could be in a flower bed covered by mulch, and you may have to dig around for it. But definitely want to find it and know where it's at so you can get to it in a hurry. You want to make sure it works.
gotcha. And when you're saying newer homes, like early 2000 or now we're in 2020, 2022, excuse me. So around what year were they starting to make these homes like that with a separate valve?
I think it, yeah, I think it all depends on where you were living in Texas, but say anywhere from like 2003 up, you
Okay.
should have a valve
Okay.
house. Yeah.
Cool.
Wherever your meter is located, if it's in the front, then you'll have the shut off valve in the front. And like I said, it could be in the flower bed somewhere. If you don't know where it's at, you should probably try to find it. Be a good idea. Or have a plumber come out and find it for you. There are ways to find it. So
Perfect. Perfect. And what if you're leaving for vacation or you're selling an empty home during the middle of winter? What's something that a homeowner can do to prevent from pipes and stuff busting?
well, I mean, really, if you're selling a house and it's going to be vacant and it's going to be in the middle of winter, number one, are the utilities still going to be on? Do you have gas or electricity for heat? Is the water even going to be onto the house? If it is, and you have heat, to keep everything warm, and great. But if you don't, you may want to consider winterizing the house, um, which is basically shutting the water off at the meter and draining all the water out of the pipes in the house into the meter can and reconnecting, draining the water heater. Back in the day, we used to put antifreeze in the P traps for the sinks and the toilets and whatnot, and put Saran wrap over them to keep it that way, so that the water would freeze up in the traps and break toilets and things like that.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I don't know if you really do that anymore, or if, maybe you can put alcohol in them or something.
Hmm.
But it's pretty much, that's it.
Yeah. Well, in today's market, having a house sit empty on a market, that doesn't exist. But like back in the day, or if it ever does, the market slows down, that's definitely, or
Uh-huh.
people that have like vacation homes, second homes, stuff like that, that they're not really at, that's a good tip for them to utilize. Um, Now let me ask you, if a homeowner, how much money would this be preventing, like this winterizing process? How much money would a homeowner be saving by doing this process?
Uh, you know, a busted pipe is never a good thing. Depending upon where that pipe is that pops, you could be out a lot of money. Um, More than likely, if it happens in the middle of winter and you're having plumbers that are out there fixing other leaks, and then they've got to come to your house, um, there may be after hours charges. You never know. Whatever the situation is, it may not be cheap. I don't think it'll ever be cheap, but you definitely don't want to be out of pocket thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. I've seen it. You really just want to do the best you can. Like I said, whenever it gets to a point where it's going to be below freezing for a number of days, you might want to just trickle faucets on, for the fixtures on the exterior walls, open the cabinets to let some of the ambient air from the house in underneath the cabinets to try to keep it warm under there, you know, those kind of things. So, yeah, I mean, a freeze break can cost you a lot of money, depending upon where that break is. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Last but not least, I was gonna ask, let's see. So say the pipes have busted, the homeowner didn't do that winterizing process. What can a homeowner do until a licensed plumber like yourself comes out into the home?
He is just going to have to shut the water off, you know. So last year, I mean, we had people waiting for weeks to get their water back on in Texas. I think it was so bad last year that the governor even allowed licensed plumbers from, say, Oklahoma to come down here and help us. New Mexico, there are some, most of Texas is not really plumbed for cold weather per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Up north in the Handle, they're used to that kind of weather here in Texas, so they plumb accordingly. Down here in South Texas, West Texas, places like that, Galveston. I mean, geez, Galveston, Corpus Christi, they froze too. They are not ready for that. Their plumbing is not, you know, in their houses according to that.
Yeah,
So yeah,
gotcha.
definitely. So, yeah,
That's why it's important to know where your water shutoff valve
water.
is. Yeah,
Well,
cool. Well, Robert, I was gonna
for-
ask if people, oh,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, what was that? I'm so sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, that's why it's really important to make sure you're prepared. If you know cold weather is coming, prepare for it. Save yourself some heartache, some money, because it's not only going to cost you money in plumbing repairs, but I mean, you've also got water damage to deal with now. You may have to have sheetrock repaired, floors repaired, cabinets ripped out. You just never know. And God hope, hopefully it's not something that's frozen overhead comes to your ceiling. So definitely take it into consideration.
Oh, wow. So when you're saying frozen overhead, what is like a pipe that busted up top, or explain more on that?
Mm. Yeah, there are some situations where water lines have been ran overhead, you know, or a second story, the floor above you has plumbing in it.
Oh, that's
Um,
right. Yeah. Gotcha.
that's why, you can't, that plumbing should already be insulated, but it can freeze if it's in sub-zero temperatures or, below freezing temperatures for days on end. It will freeze if you don't let it trickle, and open cabinets and things like that for sure. Mhm.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, so that's why it's important for us to take those preventative, as homeowners, preventative measures with our pipes. Now, Robert, where can do you have like a social media, or where are some pages that if people want to follow you, they can?
Yeah, they can find us on Google and Facebook as well.
Perfect.
And then our website, McDade-plumbing.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Alrighty, Robert. Well, I was trying to make it real short as a little short video for our people here. I appreciate you joining me today and doing this interview video. And of course, you guys, if y'all have any questions on your plumbing or winterized plumbing, please feel free to reach out to Robert McDade, and he'll definitely be able to point you in the right direction. And otherwise, this is Texas Tammy, and we're signing out. Bye.
Hi, Tammy. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.